Welcome to another entry of the Caregiver Diaries with G and Mac. I am G.
And I'm Mac.
We're glad to be back together again.
Yes.
Lot going on.
Yeah, life's been lifing.
Been lifing. We're gonna, I think, Mac, we're gonna let you start off with. We're gonna talk some more about support from last time. You know, the what about me? But Mac came in the house today and she just had this look. I was like, oh, she unloaded. I said, you got to share this. So
yes, I definitely needed a hug. And I need a virtual hug from you guys too today.
Right.
I'm rehabbing from my shoulder surgery.
And as you can see, we switched sides because usually I'm on that side.
And Gina is a touchy-feely type of person. So in order for me to maintain some type of peace during our upload of our video, we switched sides.
Okay.
So I received a phone call Saturday night, and I don't really answer out of state phone calls. And so the call came through again, which urged me to answer. And in doing so, the person said, I'm a nurse. Your father just was in a motor vehicle accident. So she said, he's okay. And this is where we're located. So my husband takes me to the scene. We get to the scene. And
did you say what time it was?
It was about 8 p.m. Saturday night. So I'm looking at my father like, why are you out this late at night? His response was, well, I had to get some things from Walgreens for your mother. Well, because I've had this surgery, I guess they feel the nerve or the need to be a little bit more independent and not to rely on me. But I have a husband, I have a son, I have two sons here in St. Louis that they can call on. So there wasn't a need to depend on my father.
Yeah, but
which
they depend
upset
on you,
me.
Mac.
Yeah, they depend on me.
Yeah.
So it really upset me that my father was even out that late at night going to Walgreens. So he was in shock and had his car totaled. I mean, his car was totaled. We had his car towed back to the home and wanted him to go seek medical attention. He refused medical attention at the scene. And today is Friday, April 4th, and he is just now seeking medical attention. My brother came over, and I came over today to his house to get him ready. And finally, we got him ready to go out because he wanted to clean himself. And I said, Dad, they're not worried about your hygiene at the hospital.
He's worried about that, and that's all about pride, man.
It is. It is because he had to coordinate everything before we went out the door. Right. So, I had to make sure that all his needs were met, and I understand that.
Yeah.
But it's rough.
Yeah.
It's just really rough when they think they can still do what they want to do.
Right.
Because as soon as he was in the accident, instead of saying, let me sit down for a while, his knee-jerk reaction was, oh, look at God, how he's going to bless me with a new car. And my knee-jerk reaction was, oh, God, look how you're going to allow my dad to sit down.
Right, not be able to drive.
Yes,
right.
So
right.
Here we are. I knew I was going to have a conversation about taking the keys.
Yeah.
But now it's fast forward itself. So stay tuned out there because we are going to have a conversation about taking the keys away.
Yeah, that's going to be a rough one. I'm fortunate, and of course my mother had strokes, and of course she can't drive, but before she even had her stroke, she had moved in with me. And my mother was the type, if you're going to take her, that's fine. Are you going to take me? Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So she wouldn't have had trouble giving up her keys at all. That was driving Miss Daisy.
Yeah.
Was was our situation. And even when she was living with my sister before she moved in with me, she would call me to come take her someplace because she didn't want to ask my sister. you know, kind of. So I'm like, you might as well just move over here with me, you know.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's something being a caregiver. I was fortunate enough to be able to get out of town for a couple of days.
Nice.
As a matter of fact, it was two small separate trips. But the coordination of it all. Fortunately, my brother came in town, so he was here a couple of days. But then I had to have a caregiver till I got back in town. Then and then the next day home. Then went again. Then I had the caregiver stay one night. Then my daughter stayed another night. So it's like, in order to be able to go somewhere, it's just or it's an ordeal. You know,
Yeah.
worth it because I get some time to myself. But
You have
just
to have all
just
these players
I
involved.
got, and then I got to make sure meds are in place. You know, got to make sure my mother. I had to write out an itinerary for her up to like a week before I left, and every day she wanted me to review that itinerary with her.
Oh.
You know, she had to know who was doing what. So it's almost like I feel guilty on one hand leaving her, even though I know she's in good hands, but still the whole time I'm gone. Once I get where I'm going, I tend to be okay because on the way, because I'm driving, I have my playlist together and I'm singing, I'm car dancing and all of that. So then when I get there, but still I have to call and talk to her.
Yeah.
But still I feel like I'm abandoning my child.
Yeah, you do. You have that guilt.
Right. And then I want to make sure, because I think, of course, I don't think anybody can take care of her like
The way you can.
And I know nobody can understand her like I do, because with that aphasia,
Yes,
I know
yes,
nobody
yes.
can understand her like me. But it worked out okay, you know.
Yeah.
So I was able to, and I'm going to try every other month now to just take a couple days. I've got a couple, and it's all about, you know, how I think we talked before about taking a village to raise a child. It takes a village to take care of a loved one.
That's right.
you know.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And then I've had to, like I said, I've had to learn how to trust other people.
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
had to learn how to receive support,
Mm-hmm,
you know, because I've always been very proud. And if it's not a family member, I didn't want anybody staying with her, but it got to the point where then I'm never going to be able to do anything.
Right.
If
You
I'm-
have to be filled up.
Exactly. So, we're just talking about support system. You know, I have I was talking about, you know, we talked about before, just this whole ordeal of becoming a caregiver. Just a little backup with my mom. My mom had a couple strokes. One of her strokes, it was just affected her language. She was in the hospital. I'm not going to mention the hospital, but anybody that's in St. Louis, you probably know what hospital I'm talking about. My mother was in that hospital room. She could do everything but talk. Then all of a sudden, my mother started hitting her head, and she couldn't do anything anymore. I talked to the nurse. I talked to the doctor. Something has changed about my mom. Blah, 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 blah. Oh, she just got a headache. Well, of course, once they finally did an MRI, some hours later, it was a brain bleed, and then all of a sudden everybody's scurrying, panicking. So I'm like, get my mother out of this house. And you talk about being an advocate for your loved one. Get my mother out of this hospital. So they did get her down. I'll mention Barnes because they took very good care of my mother down at Barnes. But getting back to that support, and I guess I talk about that, mention that a lot, but I think I really have post-traumatic.
She touching and feeling.
But
right now.
this the okay side, though,
Yeah,
right?
it's okay. I just
Okay.
wanted y'all to know.
But I think I have post-traumatic stress from that, witnessing my mother's change like that. So anyway, so once she got well enough to go to a facility, this I'm getting back to the support piece. We had picked out a rehab place, and they called me like at 12 o'clock at night saying that they had dropped my mother at the rehab place. No advance notice, no nothing. Luckily, I had a friend who went there with me, because if I had not had her with me at that time, once I saw my mother there, I don't know what I would have done. She probably saved me from getting arrested.
Yeah.
and it was just
And-
nobody there to greet us. There was no official person, and here my mother who can't communicate couldn't do anything. At that time, my mother couldn't swallow. My mother couldn't do anything.
Yes.
And you just have dropped my mother off.
Right.
So
like who managed that care? Who coordinated that care?
Right.
That was on them.
Right.
You
right,
know.
Right.
And who does a delivery in the middle of the night?
Right. Exactly.
You
So, I was so mad about that.
Oh,
So
I
then,
know you were.
Even because my mother was 85 at the time that she had her that she got sick, and I was asking about, okay, so what kind of rehab? What are you gonna be? What are you gonna do? Blah 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 blah. Because they weren't doing any kind of rehab. So finally, I go in and I talk to the doctor, and I said, what kind of rehab is my mother gonna? Well, she, with your mother's age and the strokes, she's probably not gonna make any kind of progress and this and that and blah blah blah. So I finally said, when she had the first stroke, she could do everything but talk. And then when she had the second stroke right after that, blah, blah, blah. So then he says to me, oh, well, in that case, she might be able to regain.
Oh, my gosh.
So evidently, you've not looked at my mother's records.
Right.
So if I had not been in there speaking up on behalf of my mother,
yes,
my mother be laying someplace. So, and we're going to have in the future, we're going to have somebody on who can really talk about what to look for in a facility.
Yeah.
When you have to have your loved one in a facility. But it took support.
Yeah.
Like I said, I was so glad she was there with me that night. So we've been able to find to my caregivers, which is we have our old caregiver back. And I am so glad she's back.
Nice.
Right, because I don't have to take her to the bus stop.
Yeah.
I don't have to pick her up from the bus stop.
You don't have to work when you get off work.
No. So she is, my mother loves her. She's good with my mom. So she's a very, she's a good support.
That's good. That's good. But it's always important to identify the people in the hospital. They used to be, back in my day, social workers. That's their title.
Yeah.
But now they're considered a case manager.
Yeah.
But when it was time for my parents to leave the hospital and go into a rehab facility, we had a case manager assigned to her case. And I told them, well, we don't want to go to a particular nursing home because we had a difficult situation where a family member passed away. So she said, okay. She took note of it, called me back later that day. Well, we've got two options. One of the options being the facility that I said we didn't want my mother to go to. So I had to call the supervisor, get them involved, and in a matter of 3 seconds, it was resolved. But
you had to do that. You had to.
I shouldn't have to.
It's already a stressful situation.
Absolutely.
And then it is compounded by that kind of stuff.
Exactly.
Because I knew my mom was going to be going to this facility, but I just didn't know when. So then you drop her off in the middle. You just drop her off in the middle of the night. Even though I wouldn't recommend that place, and I'm not going to badmouth facilities, but
Right.
You have to really advocate, and you just have to have a great
and they
support
don't give
system.
you that big a window to do the investigation.
Right.
If your parent or loved one is discharged, they're in the hospital on Monday, they're discharging on Wednesday, they want to have a facility for them to go to by that Wednesday. So they don't give you time to do your due diligence as a caregiver to research these facilities.
You have to really be on. It's stressful, and you have to just really be on top of things. And it's just good when you have people who support you, and that support might look differently. It might just be like my best girlfriend of 56 years lives out of town, but I talk to her every day. I'm talking about my mom. We talk all the time. But people people serve different roles. I have a
Absolutely.
coworker who, and I always, every time I work at a job, there's always somebody that I connect with.
Yeah.
And just like
Yeah.
you and I did, and my friend who was with me that night, I worked with her, and then now in my job I have another, made another
Yeah.
friend, and she says, Gina, I can't sit with your mother. But I'll do what I can, and this is what she does. Like yesterday, she called me. She said, "I'm running by Culver's." She calls my mother Diva, because when she saw that my mother, now these are my nails, right? But Helen, my mama's nails are always maintained, right? So as I used to do her nails. Now you can tell I don't know anything about nails. Don't care about nails.
Yeah.
I would do them, and then I was like, because it was a hassle to do them, but I would do them. But then my niece came in town one time and took her to get her nails. And I'm thinking to myself, what? That's what she used to do. Why didn't I think about that? So I always laugh, because she called me. My name is Gina. I probably mentioned this before, and she calls me Gloria half the time. But she knows Leon's name, and that's who does her nails.
Oh.
So she calls her Diva, but she say, I'm going to Culver's. What you want me to get Diva? So she dropped her off some food. So
See,
I
at
didn't have
least
to
she's
make that.
honest about it.
Oh, yeah, and I'm
telling
okay
you
with that.
what she's
That's
able
right.
to provide
That's
for
right.
you,
And then, so support comes in all
forms.
All forms. There's all forms of support, but
as long as that end result is met.
Right. So we just have to reach out. And we'll talk in the future too about advocating.
Yeah, as you mentioned before,
right.
we're gonna talk about advocating. We're gonna hopefully have some professional individuals on here.
Right. How to pick a daycare.
Yeah.
I have a coworker who had to put her mom in a facility. Her mom has dementia.
Okay.
So I want to get her on to talk about what she looked for. I have another friend who's an LPN who works with nursing homes, so she knows the ins and outs of nursing homes. So we're new to this. So we're figuring out, well, how do we get those people on? So my daughter said, Mommy, all you have to do is Zoom, and then you can upload the Zoom. So we're going to see about doing that.
So just be patient with us.
Yes, we're working.
We're working on it. Yeah. And then my father's godson is a geriatric doctor. So he'll be able to come on and add some insight, and maybe give us, some insight. Right. So we're looking forward to our future.
It's good to work, because your parents go to Archwell, right?
Yes, they just joined Archwell.
And they're for senior, aren't they geared more
65 and older?
Yeah.
Or 60 and older.
Yeah, because sometimes it's good to, even though you don't have to, but you have to have a doctor that listens.
Yeah.
And it's not, because a lot of things they just say, oh, well, she is getting older.
Right.
My mother had to get a new neurologist. And he was talking to her, and he was like, oh, because about her memory and this and that. I say, honey, my mother reminds me of things. So once he kind of started asking her some questions, even with her aphasia, she was able to say I was so surprised. She said the date, she said, even though I write it on the board in her room, but she was able to say the date, the year, and all that. And he says, oh, yeah, her memory is. Don't assume, because my mother's old and has strokes, that she doesn't know. She reminds me of a whole lot of things, so... Anyway, we can ramble and ramble.
We could.
But I guess we'll stop here.
Okay.
Just in summary, just reach out to people. Ask questions, because the only way you're going to find out is if, we're at home, and that's my home phone that I never answer. But the only way you're going to... you just have to ask for help.
That's right.
You just have to reach out and not be so stubborn, not be so bullheaded and pride. And then it's about pride too. Yeah. Because I take pride in I'm taking care of my mother.
Right.
But I'm learning, like I said,
can do it the way I do it.
But I'm learning how to let others do it.
That's
well.
right.
So
activate your faith.
Right. Exactly.
And remember, it costs nothing to support us. So make sure you like, subscribe, and share.
Right. We're not in this for money.
No.
People have always, because I'm always telling some crazy story about my mother all the time. I'm gonna have to look up some stuff and share some of my aphasia stories.
Yes.
We can have a whole episode on that, because I've been keeping track of some of the things that she says. So we just started this because people were saying, you all have a lot to offer. So, you need to share. So anyway, I guess we'll go. Oh, here's one story I had to tell them.
Okay.
I might have said this. My mother she asked me if I got her serial killers. Did I tell you that one? She was pointing to each of her ears. She was talking about her earrings. But she had heard, it was, I think I said this before. She had heard something on TV about Criminal Minds or whatever.
Yeah.
And then she was in the hospital. I said, she's sitting up reading the menu like it's a book or something like that. I got all kind of stories. This other one said, now this one was not off. She said, why are them raggedy people talking to you? They were some homeless people. I said, Helen, be nice. Be nice. So sometimes she's like way off base, but other times she's like spot on.
Right.
We can go on and on. But we're going to have to dedicate a episode to Helen, my mom's aphasia.
Yeah, absolutely.
Aphasia comments.
Her short stories.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. Okay, so everybody, thank you for tuning in.
Yes, thank you.
Again, as Max said, like, share, please share, and please subscribe. We're not charging for the subscription. Subscribe and just let you know when we have when we have another
new
episode.
podcast.
Yeah, and we're just trying to get it out. So thank you for tuning in, and
as always, who cares?
We care.
G and Mac cares.
Bye-bye.
Till next time.